Hello everybody, this is Namo060 here with you once again. Now, I'm going to be doing a little editorial reading of a little mini essay that Stephan Dechine of the Dangerous Living Show sent me in response to one of my emails towards him, entitled Gymnophobia and Skepticism in Naturism. I'm a little skeptical of the notion that the majority of society is gymnophobic. However, I do think that it is very prominent and that the standard of society against nudity is gymnophobic to begin with, because it is irrational. And there are I think it's important to understand that there are varying degrees of phobias. There can be mild phobias, and there can be more situational phobias, and there can be more broad phobias. But I think a lot of people, if not most of America, maybe pushing most, do suffer, and the Western culture and many cultures do suffer from some form of gymnophobia. But this will become more apparent. I won't be intervening too much, just because there isn't a lot I really disagree with. But the parts I do disagree with or have something to add, then I will do so. The mini essay is entitled I Don't Like Naturism by Stephan Dechine. Some people, after trying naturism, or even without trying it, as is most often the case, tell me that they don't like it. Since naturism isn't really an activity, I'm always puzzled by this response. After all, there are so many activities that can be performed without clothes, it makes no sense. All naturists know that there is no logical reason for a bathing suit. It doesn't keep you warm, it doesn't keep you dry, it doesn't protect you from anything, and it doesn't really hide anything. Everyone knows that what a person would look like nude once they've seen them in a bathing suit, so why would anyone prefer a bathing suit? It seems to be a very mild psychological comfort that the parts that are often considered the most sexually explicit, or seem to have most use in sexual reproduction one way or another, even though your hands often do a lot more than the breasts would do. But besides that, but more to the point, because society is frowning on sexualizing nudity, and those are the most sexual parts, as by that standard, it's very mild psychological comfort that they are mildly acceptable in certain areas because they are keeping those areas covered. If someone didn't like swimming nude but was okay with bowling nude, I'd understand. If I was told that they didn't like canoeing nude but enjoyed being resort nude, I would understand. However, just saying they don't like being nude is just a deeper problem, perhaps even a phobia. A phobia is defined by the National Mental Health Association in the USA as a persistent, irrational fears of certain objects or situations. Phobias occur in several forms. The fear associated with the phobia can be a focus of a particular object, specific phobia, or fear of embarrassment in a public setting, social phobia. However, unfortunately, by our cultural standard, we have made the situations where you would be embarrassed by nudity in public a reality, because that's how most people would tend to react. Unlike how someone may be afraid of snakes, where most snakes are harmless but a few are deadly. In this case, most people are going to ridicule you and a few people aren't, which is the main problem. And thus there is a strong justification by how society is structured. However, he does go on to address this later, and I shall expand on that when he gets to it. In fact, fear of nudity has an official name: gymnophobia. Gymnophobia, an abnormal and persistent fear of nudity. Sufferers from this phobia experiencing undue anxiety even though they realise that their fear is irrational. They may worry about seeing others naked or being seen naked, or both. Their fears may stem from anxiety about sexuality in general, but from a fear that their bodies are physically inferior, or from a fear that their nakedness leaves their bodies and their personalities exposed and unprotected. Gymnophobia is derived from the Greek gymnos, naked, and phobos, phobia, fear rather. The word gymnasium comes from the Greek gymnasium, a place for athletic exercise, and the Greek gymnasium is to train naked. Also, nudophobia from the MedTerms Medical Dictionary. Now, this is all part of culture and how we're set up, and so I think it's often more to do with peer pressure than it has to do with the phobia itself, because we are pressured so much and we are, bombarded by everything that says that nudity is wrong. We are often programmed, I dare say brainwashed, to feel this way, and it is hard to escape from it. But yeah, and also because of the way our society has a very biased standard of beauty, which I absolutely hate, people often will feel inferior. But the main point where this differs is that there may be fewer people who are truly gymnophobic than it may initially seem, because there are a lot of people who would agree with the naturist message that everybody is equal, and that we should love ourselves for who we are and love the imperfections and not worry about not being perfect. And many people may be perfectly okay and even support naturists who wish to go nude where they so desire when it's practical to do so, but they wouldn't do it themselves. So it comes in varying degrees, and I've even met people who just generally like clothes, the feeling of clothes to begin with, and so wear it most of the time. I don't know whether they have not gone to nature species because of the chance, or the thought just never occurred in their minds. As I said in the email I sent him, it's a bit like religious indoctrination. Most people are just taught it from a very early age, and so they just don't think about it. It's not on their minds. It's never even really considered anything differently until they really analyse what they're actually thinking. Moving on. The Mayo Clinic defines the symptoms of phobia to be a persistent, irrational fear of a specific object, activity or situation, immediate response of anxiety when exposed to an object or fear, compelling desire to avoid what you fear, or impaired ability to function in normal tasks because of the fear. Sound familiar? Just insert the word nudity and above symptoms and you describe the average non-naturist. The description is enough to include most of the North American population suffers from gymnophobia. People will argue vehemently that the discomfort from nudity is not a phobia. I suppose this may seem normal because there's so many people in our society that suffer from it. In fact, it's become institutionalised. We design our architecture to compensate for this phobia, e.g. separate changing rooms, shower cubicles, dressing rooms and stores, etc. We have created a whole set of rituals and culture around this phobia. We teach our children about respecting people's privacy, and we treat nudity as quote-unquote dirty in order to justify the phobia. We talk about nudity being a personal thing, to be kept for those intimate moments with our partners. All of these traditions are very well constructed to justify the phobia and to prevent people from having to deal with it. And I pretty much agree with this. In fact, I would say that you don't have as much loyalty to your partner as you may initially think if you feel that you have to hide that it's not right to be seen nude by anyone else but them. And I also kind of, see it as perhaps what I would dub Bella Swan syndrome, if you feel that your body actually has to belong to them and that you have to be an object of their seeing and nobody else, even though you may very well realise that you are both loyal to each other and both of you would not even think about, dating someone other than them. If you are really loyal to them and you really trust them, why would you be afraid of being seen nude by other people when you know, and they should know, that you are not going to be going anywhere with them in the sexual sense?